may have been 40 years since Michael Myers first terrorized the town of Haddonfield, Illinois, but it's been no time at all when we return to the blood-soaked streets for Halloween Kills.
Our family will kill him.
We're gonna hunt him down and we're gonna put an end to this.
Having trapped Myers in the basement of her booby-trapped house and set fire to it, Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, is being rushed to hospital by her daughter Karen, played by Judy Greer, and granddaughter Allison, played by Andi Matichak, where fire engines streak past on their way to stop the blaze. The well-meaning fire service arrives a little too early for the job to be complete, and the action picks up where director David Gordon Green's last film left off. On the same night, with the community of Haddonfield realising that Myers has escaped from the psychiatric hospital and is hell-bent on continuing the rampage he first began that night in 1978. Halloween Kills is the 12th film in the incredibly successful horror franchise's universe, but only the third movie in terms of retconned continuity, as the current trilogy follows on directly from the 1978 original, ignoring all sequels in between.
My grandmother was right. The boogeyman was real.
It's over.
Long-time franchise producer Malek Akkad, whose father Mustafa produced the original Halloween and its subsequent sequels throughout the 80s and 90s, was once again on hand to make sure Halloween Kills stayed true to the original while delivering bigger and bolder ideas. Sequels are inherently bigger, bolder, and in this case, deadlier. How does Halloween Kills meet that brief?
We've sort of always tried somewhat to not go into the gratuitous gore. Certainly we've crossed that line in the past, and those are, different creative discussions. But I think we've kept that line somewhat respected, but I think there's an inherent tension in David's film, the two of them. There's inherent tension, there's an inherent dread that you don't need to rely on that gore as much, but you do need that sort of heighten the action, the intensity. And so it's a mixture of both. And I think in the hands of a deft director like David Gordon Green, it's achievable. And I think he's done a great job of doing that.
With Blumhouse Productions obtaining the rights to the Halloween brand for this new trilogy, superfans Jason Blum, David Gordon Green and Danny McBride had a big job on their hands convincing creator John Carpenter they were the ones to revive the franchise after a number of disappointing sequels. Carpenter eventually agreed and set about scoring the films with his instantly recognisable soundscape.
What John Carpenter did with the music was just iconic. It's like the music from Jaws, it's just so iconic, that sound, that when you hear it, you're just like transported back then.
Thankfully for all involved, the Halloween reboot in 2018 was a huge success, taking in more than $255 million from a $10 million budget and becoming the highest grossing chapter in the franchise, while also setting a new record as the biggest opening weekend in history for a horror film starring a woman.
I would just simply answer you this. The last thing in the world I thought I would do is another Halloween movie. I was perfectly happy doing the work I was doing. I was in the mountains in where I live, and the phone rang, and it was Jake Gyllenhaal on the phone, who's my godson, and I said, hey. He said, my friend David would like to talk to you about a Halloween movie. Last thing in the world I thought I would do is a Halloween movie, let alone 3. And I didn't know it was 3 when I signed up for the first one. I had no idea. So I just liked immediately his take on the material. I mean, honestly, that's it. It was his take, his introduction of Karen and Allison and her isolation and her loneliness and the trauma, and being able to make a movie about female trauma felt empowering and appropriate as a beginning movement of this 3-part piece of music that he's made. And I was in from the script. I read the script in an hour and a half and called him and said, yep, let's go.
With Halloween Kills, the ritual bloodbath is in full swing again as the Strode women join a group of other survivors from Michael's first rampage who take matters into their own hands, forming a vigilante mob that sets out to hunt Michael down once and for all.
You and Allison should not have to keep running. Evil dies tonight.
I think that one of the best things about this film is that you're able to kind of meet the character, which is Haddonfield. And it's long overdue to just be able to widen the lens and see these people and how the communal trauma kind of has taken place over the years and how it like has a foothold in this town and how they decide to take matters into their own hands, band together, rise up against a broken system that isn't working for them. And whether it's for better or for worse, they have each other's backs in that moment.
Reprising their career-launching roles from 1978's Halloween are Kyle Richards as Lindsay, Charles Cyphers as Lee Brackett, and Nancy Stevens as Marion Chambers, with Anthony Michael Hall as Tommy Doyle and Robert Longstreet as Robert Elam. Director David Gordon Green says bringing back familiar faces was just one way to honour the legacy of the original. How does Halloween Kills both honour the legacy and progress the narrative of this iconic franchise?
The effort is to honor the legacy in terms of Halloween Kills. We do recreations of the 1978 Michael Myers house and some of the sequences within that we elaborate upon. And then we bring legacy characters like Kyle Richards and characters like Tommy Doyle and Nurse Marion and have appearances that integrate into this film to be able to expand on the concept of terror, the concept of fear. So it's not necessarily just a good versus evil, Laurie versus Michael butting of heads here, but it's how fear and terror permeates the entire community of Haddonfield. And so we reached into the legacy characters to expand on that and create a fully realized community.
As Laurie lies reluctantly and defiantly in a hospital bed, she comes to the horrifying realization that Michael isn't dead, and this time the warrior woman can't fight him alone.
We fight. We always fight.
Limited by her injuries, Laurie must pass the torch to her daughter and granddaughter, who come to understand the trauma that Michael Myers inflicted is not limited to Laurie. It affects the whole town, and just like Laurie, they've had enough of being terrorised. With Halloween Kills launching into Australian cinemas on October 28, just in time for the scary season, horror fans are ready for more of this blockbuster, unkillable franchise. And the thrill of seeing Halloween on the big screen is what keeps audiences coming back for more scares.
Audiences love to be shocked. You know, like when you go to an amusement park, you know what's going to happen at a haunted horror house, or you know what it's going to be like on a roller coaster, and yet you still want that. You still thrive, and want that experience. So I think that's a combination of those things: the sort of the fear of the unknown, the fear of the dark, of the boogeyman, if you will, but also just that audiences love that thrill ride. And this film really packs a punch. I think they're going to be, very excited when fans see this, and new fans for the franchise too, hopefully.
Evil dies tonight!
Happy Halloween.